What's your name?
Guys, back up, guys, back up. I understand.
I need your badge.
If you're interfering with this arrest, we're going to
I need a badge, someone. I need a badge.
back up, guys.
This is not legal to take someone without a judicial warrant.
Please don't put him in the elevator and then claim you have the warrant. You don't have a warrant for him.
I will let go when you show me the judicial warrant. Where is it?
I have the warrant. I have my hand here.
So show it. Let us see it. So let us see it. We want to take us for warrant. We want to
Please stay back. Take it back. Step back. Please step back. Step back, guys. Step back.
Sir, you don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens. Please stay back. I'm not obstructing. I'm standing right here in the hallway. I have to see the judicial warrant.
You're arresting them.
I'm asking that you for a judicial warrant.
Step back, guys. You can take pictures, but please stay back.
To arrest U.S. citizens, asking for a judicial warrant. Stay back, please. Stay back, please.
Press, we go too. Sorry. No way. I'm safe. Where are you taking him? Hello?
Sorry,
You have no authority to arrest U.S. citizens.
Where are you taking the controller?
And with what authority?
Why are you arresting the city controller and where are you taking him?
Back up.
No!
Thank you. Number one's gonna go with him, all right? Hang on, please. Number one. Hold on. Brett, this is number one right here, all right?
I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha Rekah Kodash, double honors unto our apostle elders, which ruled great millstone wow, and which taught us the truth, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom wa abba. Alright, so this is Yahweh Shai speaking. That's why it is in red. And he's talking to the Israelites because they were talking shit about him being, like a demon, because he was casting out spirits out of the Israelites and healing them in the power of Yahweh. And so they called him Satan. And he said this, and if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? Right? So this is a prophecy also of Satan's kingdom, America, and that it is divided and it shall fall. And he said that he saw Lucifer fall like lightning. Let me get it in Isaiah 14, which it was a prophecy. Verse 12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, which is talking about America. And I'm going to show you this evidence. Son of the morning, which it was like a beacon of light to the world. How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations, which they push wickedness out of this place. So it's darkness. It's a light of darkness instead of a light of truth. It's built on lies, and this is why the kingdom of Lucifer, the light bearer, is going to fall, which is America. All right. And they know it. So this is why you see them with their military in the streets. And now that you have Marines in the streets of America arresting U.S. citizens, and they're hiring bounty hunters, right? We're literally in a state of war. Okay. We're in a time of Jacob's trouble. And they're going to persecute the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians because of this truth. And that's really what it is, because of the truth. All right. And I got a video of this. I don't know if he's an ex-CIA, but, once a CIA agent, they pretty much always won. Like they say with the Marine Corps. Well, the dude's going to tell you, that they know that their kingdom's falling apart. But I wanted to get also this other video that I shared, and then I'll move on to that one with the CIA agent. which is here.
We can talk.
I'll make it as quick as possible. My name is Martin Alvarado. I'm a bounty hunter by trade. I've been introduced by my agency. I'm from Seattle. Tacoma called me and told me that as the waves go through, this is the first wave. The second and third is when they're going to hire us. ICE is going to hire us bounty hunters, and they're going to be giving $1,500 to $1,000 per legal. How are you going to stop us from coming through? Because we don't have to worry about warrants. We don't really have to follow too many of the laws. And if we're going to be deputized by...
And just like I showed you, they are arresting U.S. citizens. They don't have to abide by the laws. And watch, he's going to tell you that they're going to do what they enjoy doing, which means they're going to do more than just arrest. All right, they're going to go into your home and rape your wives and slap your kids and drink your milk and eat your food.
ICE, we can pretty much do anything we want. They're already going over there and creating the squads as we speak now. That's why they called me. So as soon as I get back with my squad in Tacoma, we will be coming down the state. $1,000 per illegal is a pretty good price.
Which these Edomites, that's how they worked in even Vietnam. I knew an Edomite that was part of the SEAL Team 6 back in Vietnam, and he was married to like an aunt of mine, and we would talk, and I'd ask him questions about it, and that's what they would do. They would be dropped off at the top of a mountain by a helicopter, and they would just murder their way down the mountain, raping and eating whatever they wanted, right? And once they were done, they'd get picked up at the bottom in the valley, right? So that's pretty much what he's talking about. They're going to come down with great wrath, knowing that the Edomites have but a short time. That's why they're being paid. All right, they're being paid money to try to eliminate the Israelites, because this truth is it's fucking them up. It's fucking them up real bad.
Just to do things that you kind of enjoy. What you guys are...
See, he enjoys, tormenting what? So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians.
Going to do to stop that? Are you going to pay us more? Are you going to pay us $2,000 to just leave them alone?
I think you should be making those kind of comments and create panic right now.
I'm not creating panic.
And see, that's why Israel did not know, my people did not consider. You could hear in the voice that guy is most likely a Native American Indian, right? And he's saying, why would you even make a comment like that, which is a very weak-ass spirit. All right, he's straight up saying that he's going to come down with a squad of men with no law stopping him from slapping you, raping your wife, raping you, right, and robbing you, and then murdering you or doing whatever they want with you. All right, and this, they're going to do it many times over to you. All right, so this is why Jake, all right, as it says in Isaiah 1 and 3, Israel does not know, my people does not consider. They don't know that Esau is coming down with great wrath, even though it's being told to them, because they're fucked up in the head. And then, right, they don't consider. They don't consider that they could be the Israelites and these could be the Edomites, the red devil the Bible speaks of. The so-called Caucasian is the red devil the Bible speaks of.
I'm trying to get you guys informed of what's going on.
You're comparing numbers right now. You shouldn't be doing that.
Well, I'm just stating a fact of what...
See, he said compared in numbers, you shouldn't be saying that. But this dude is more lethal because he's an Edomite. He's a weapon of mass destruction. All right, look at the so-called white race and what they've done throughout the world. All right, so he's coming up telling you that he's going to pretty much hunt you and do whatever the fuck he wants to you and your wife and your kids. All right, and the government's going to pay him to do it.
Are you guys going to do to stop us from doing our job?
Maybe you shouldn't be doing that job at all.
Why? What part of illegal don't you understand?
You can't put a price on.
You can put a price on every human being.
See, that's the spirit of Esau. All right, and that's why Esau has no hope, because once we get him in slavery, he's eventually going to be made extinct, because he is the wicked the Bible speaks of. All right. So now I'm going to jump to another video. Now, before I get the video, I wanted to get the two scriptures that I was quoting. Revelation 12, verse 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, which we rejoice, because we know the truth. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil, the so-called white race, which they're really red, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." Right? And we're going to get that video with that CIA agent, and he's going to tell you that they know their time is ending, and they believe it's going to be 2024, 2025, and that's why you see the military in the streets of America this year. Okay? So let me go ahead and jump to another. But like I said, I had two scriptures. It says in Isaiah, it should be 1 verse 3. "The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider." All right? And see, the Edomite is the sword. The wicked is the Lord's sword. All right? It says in Psalm 17 and 13, "Arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword." And so the Lord's going to send plagues upon the earth, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, which is 2 Ezra 15. He sends the prophet, and then he's going to unleash the plagues that the prophets have been warning of. 2 Ezra 15 and 4, "For all the unfaithful Israelites in America shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world," which he's going to get all those that are adversaries and enemies to him and his father and his people. It says, "I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword," which is that so-called white race, the wicked. They are a weapon of mass destruction. Famine, death, and destruction. All right? And this is what the Lord is using them for, because they are the sword, the wicked. All right? The so-called white race, which they've been able to conquer the world through their deceit and using their sword. All right? Now, their sword is starting to fail. All right? Because you have their soldiers actually, all right, becoming like women and losing faith in the system, which it shows you in, let me see, I posted on my channel. I shared it. And it is, let me see. Here you go, right here. All right.
Start building your crypto portfolio today. MoonPay is your ticket to lightning fast transactions.
Here in my hands, I have a written paper so I can be very articulate and clear about this message. May 2nd, 2023, I raised my hand and swore an oath to protect the Constitution. All
right, we're having a bit of a problem with our active duty military. We got airman shit over here who's going to come out and get a conscience about enforcing federal law, immigration law. We got Benjamin France, who decides, Naval Academy graduate, JAG officer, who's going to say, hey, I'm coming for ICE. What is going on with the military? We need to have a big flush. Thanks for coming back. Stand by.
The land of the free with the people that reside within. The immigrants paying U.S. taxes, building homes, working blue-collar jobs. I serve to protect these people. They are our people. The ones that came into the U.S. authorized on a visa or green card, getting stripped away from families, undocumented children, losing parents, friends, siblings, pulled from homes to sit in a concrete room. They are kids. I don't need.
Okay, what we're doing, the way I understand it, some people may get swept up in the circle by accident, criminal, illegal aliens, right? They're trying to deport them, return to sender. And Airman Dipshit here ain't doing it. He's active duty. Does he want to go to prison? Does he want to get kicked out on a dishonorable discharge? The answer, yes.
Need to be Hispanic.
Which really it's the Lord putting these spirits upon these men to rebel against the government in sedition, as it's prophesied in 2 Ezra 15. All right, these are the signs of the end of the so-called white man's empire, which you can see they're actually red, they're not white, okay? And they built this kingdom of theirs in wickedness in the image of the pagan Roman Empire. All right, that's what sets America apart, all right, from the rest of the world, was that it was built in the so-called Republican democracy of the so-called white race former kingdom, Rome, which fell. So America is falling just like Rome, all right? And this time, it's not going to come back, okay? Edom is going to go into slavery under the Israelites, and then they're going to be made extinct because there's no purpose for them but to destroy.
To know this is wrong. I wear the name United States across my chest daily. I am a reflection of this country. I'm not proud to say this is a country I'm serving if it means destroying the lives of people that provide for this nation. Yes, there is a legal process.
And also, you got to remember that there's Israelites that look just like this dude. Even though he looks like a so-called Caucasian, he could be an Israelite, the soldier that has a conscience. All right, but also, the Lord is causing these Edomites to turn against each other.
The
law, son. The law. I mean, the bottom line is Congress makes laws, and we're enforcing the laws. I know it's like enforcing the law, now you can't do it, but I think most...
And remember, they just had lawmakers being executed by what they say was a police officer. All right, which when they said that it was a former government, official, which since the 1st of January 2025, the year that we hope for judgment, that the Lord destroy the kingdom of the Edomites and restore the Israelite kingdom, all right, under Yahweh Shai, you've had these soldiers acting out in terrorist attacks, okay? Which you had Trump just go and give a speech at Fort Bragg's, which when you go into The Exorcist was an actual true story that was happening on military bases to the military families. They were becoming possessed, all right? And they literally had priests sent from Rome trying to take these demons off these military families because they were fucking around with witchcraft. That whole military was built in witchcraft, all right? Rebellion to the Bible. That's why they make you shave your head and shave your beard, right? And as the elder out in LA, testifies that, he found the truth and the truth found him while he was in the military, and the military discharged him. I know he eventually had to fight for his honorable discharge, but he got discharged because he was watching the truth, right? And they said that you could be a witch, you just can't be an Israelite, Well, this is destroying the wicked's kingdom. It's literally falling apart around them.
A lot of people voted they wanted to get rid of criminal illegal aliens, right? And let's take all that off the table. You're in the Air Force, and you have this feeling. Do you post this against the commander-in-chief? Do you read it? Do you not think what's going to come of this? No, you don't do that. You get out, you go on your merry way. There is no free speech. I understand people think there is. The fine print was always there, UCMJ. And social media is out of control.
See, and social media is out of control. But see, their soldiers are become like women, rebellious. All right? So they're not following the orders that they're being given. They're rebelling.
Control. Talk to a friend of mine, good guy. Politicians, Military, they can say whatever with no recourse. Of course there's recourse.
Colonists didn't have to pay thousands of dollars or get a visa to be on this stolen land. I might lose the uniform I wear.
Stolen land. How do they steal it? With the sword, right? And they don't want to answer for that, right? They said it was manifest destiny, and it was. But now your fate is that you have to pay for that blood.
But then what is the First Amendment? Okay, escucho.
Well, let's start with there is no First Amendment. When you're in the military, that doesn't exist. Stolen land, we got a stolen land guy here. Conquered land, yes. Purchased land, yes. What is happening with this?
And see, the pride of these Edomites have deceived them. He said, conquer, paid for it. No, you stole it. You murdered for it. You lie about it. And you're going to have to pay for it. This is why your kingdom is falling apart. And you know it. And there's no way to overcome it. All right?
Generation, they've been indoctrinated since small children. It was the Obama generation. I don't understand why you join up when you know the rules very clearly. And then you get bitter when you do the job. But he's not going out enforcing any rules. But now he doesn't like it, right? The best part, so he's a young guy. Stupid, right? Ignorant. I don't know. Foolish. The next one here, thanks for making this far. The next one here is even harder to understand. So we got here is Benjamin France, right? Naval Academy, JAG officer. I think he's got to be a pretty smart guy. He's got to.
Which this guy, he's going to read later is his record, and he would be like an A+ in the military. He's a JAG officer, meaning he's a lawyer in the military. And pretty much why they're rebelling is because they see the government breaking their constitution, breaking the Declaration of Independence, breaking all these former things that these soldiers were trained to uphold. All right? Which they're also seeing that they're being led into a war, the World War, all right, and also a war against their own citizens. Because I'm going to play it, the CIA agent tells you, that they know they went to witches and warlocks, and they know through visions that they've received and predictions that the end of their kingdom is supposed to be within 2024 to 2025, which we have seen the increase of violence from Esau to the Israelite, and this actually speeds things up because he's persecuting the Israelites to the point where it's going to affect his elect. All right?
No better. Active duty, right? He's going to know not to do dumb shit on social media because it's going to reflect on his career. Nope. He gets outed with this right here. And we will hunt down every an ICE agent again. Okay. You going to say that on social media? Who's we? We? You represent the DOD when you've got the uniform you post on your social medias, right? It's a bad look. Here he is right here. Benjamin France. I'm excited to share that today I took the oath of officer in the U.S. Navy JAG Corps. It has always been a goal of mine to join and serve the Navy like my father, Timothy France. Blah, 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 blah. But he thinks he's above that, right? He can do whatever he wants. I will give credit to Shu. He was the guy on the Sean Ryan show about the anti-gravitic drones. Check him out on Twitter. But I guess when he got caught, he decides to go radio silent with his burner Twitter account, right? He thinks he's going to get a pass. Of course, this has been reported to Pete Hegseth, but how much can the administration do? Can they have all their people hunting down these lunatics all the time? Well, I hope so, because this isn't.
And I just want to say I'm using this for educational purposes, Fair Use Act. Fair Use Act. I'm not making no profit off of this. If anything, I'm doing a favor for the producer of this video because it's being shared through my channel and I'm not getting no money, no monetary gain. I'm using it for educational purposes to show in the Bible that the Edomite is in power, which is the red devil, the so-called white man.
Ingrained mid-level management, top-level management. It just keeps going. Can't wait for your ass to be eventually red, dead, whatever. And Hegseth eventually drinks himself into a coma. You worthless SOB. Here's the coup de grace, right? He goes, the DOD, you and SecDef are joking. The DOD and 04 guardsmen should never be in charge of all American forces, an embarrassment to the military and the nation. Okay, you may feel that way, but when you're wearing the uniform, and you know the rules, you're coming after the SecDef, there may be some ramifications, right?
Seeing our God, Yahweh, is a God of knowledge. And that's what's happening, is the earth is waking up to the knowledge of the so-called white race, the red devils being the wicked. All right, and this is why the people are mourning, because the wicked are ruling.
It may hurt your career. It may be a problem. And this guy, what do you think should happen to him? I wrote court-martial, brig, dishonorable discharge. Absolutely. Here's the boy stuff.
And really, they want to put the ones that are not with the program to death. It tells you that in Revelation 13. That's when they're going to bring out the implantable microchip, and they're going to make it mandatory, and they're going to use draconian law to say if you don't accept it, they'll put you to death. Revelation 13 and 15. And he being the so-called white race, starting with the elite of their people, had power to give life unto the image of the beast, which is this beast system, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And that's why you've seen Trump, talking about leading America into digital currency, and his right-hand man, Elon Musk, being, owning the Neuralink company that they implant microchips in people's heads. At the same time, you got his vice president, Vance, J.D. Vance, which he's a banker that funds technological businesses. All right. So they're coming in with this experiment of trying to get you to take the implantable microchip to condemn you to their own judgment. They're going to be destroyed, and their kingdom is going to be destroyed, and it's going to be by nuclear missile. It says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, which is that so-called white race. And his number is 603 All right, that's why they always have the Bill 666, or as Biden was famously known, for 6 days and 6 months, right? So 6 hours, right? But Trump did the same thing, all right? And the reason why is because the Lord made him do it. The Lord is making them do it, and they are the wicked, all right? And they are the sword, and they're going to be allowed to come in against the Israelite, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian, but they're going to meet their end once they touch the hopeful elect, all right? Now, the other Israelites, they could do this to them because they're in their sin. They haven't repented. Jeremiah 50, verse 6, my people, the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, have been lost sheep. We've been scattered throughout the world in slavery. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill, which they said we were all different nations, but the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians are actually the same nation, the nation of Israel. They have forgotten their resting place. They don't, remember that they go back to Israel. Israel does not know, my people does not consider. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not because they have sinned. It says, because they have sinned against Yahweh, the habitation of justice, even Yahweh, the hope of their fathers. Remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flocks, which when you look up the pecking order of goats. They actually have an order where the male leads the flock. All right. And they have like a military rank. Okay. You can look it up for yourself, but it says, but now flee from Babylon, leave the land of the Babylonians like male goats at the head of the flock. So lead your people like a flock. Lead my people, the Israelite, home again, which we're doing through telling you to repent and return to your rightful lot in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. It says, for lo, I will rise and cause, now that's raise. Let's see, read aloud.
Raise.
For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, which is dealing with Russia, the BRIC nations, which those BRIC nations are going to be assembled with the NATO nations, and they're going to be gathered in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and they're going to shoot nuclear missiles on America, and they're going to be destroyed. The militaries of the world are going to be destroyed in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. And they shall set themselves in array against her. And the reason it says her is because America is considered a whore that rides the beast being the European Union. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain, the nuclear missiles. They're all going to turn against America and shoot nuclear missiles on America. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith Yahweh. Because ye were glad, because ye rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage, because ye are grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls. Your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. But Yahweh is going to turn America into a desert. All right. So let's go to that video I told you about the CIA agent. All right. And this is what he said. He said, America, it's been able to hide in its fat. Okay. But now it's starting to get weak. And these other nations are saying, are you weak like we? And they're going to destroy it. All right. Let me see. It's right here. This one here, you can see American collapse. This guy here, he's...
All right, this feels almost illegal to know, but our HVAC system was so...
He's a self-proclaimed CIA agent, okay? And he gives out, like, survival information and stuff. But on this video, he's talking about the collapse of America in 2025, the real threat revealed, which, once again, he's a self-proclaimed CIA agent, which in here he tells you that they are major, collectors of information pertaining to their economic system. So they're definitely watching our videos because we talk about the collapse of the economic system of America.
For a long time has been the United States. Mm-hmm. The foundation for the stability of the world for a long time has been the United States. Mm-hmm.
And this is why, once again, it says, O Lucifer, I saw you fall like lightning. Isaiah 14 and 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Which is talking about America being that stability for the world. Son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which dideth weaken the nations? Now, just to show you how Shai quoted that same thing, it says in... let's see. Revelation. Let's see. Because Yahweh Shai said it himself. Let me see. Oh, yep. Luke 10 and 18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven, which they're ruling the world, but they're going to go into slavery overnight. All right. It's going to be a destruction and then slavery. Okay. Which they're going to talk about it, but they've literally witnessed and been tracking the collapse of their kingdom, America.
We are seeing that transition, just like you said, right? It's that place where you slide the pizza off the pizza pan and onto the cutting board, right? Who we've been the pizza pan for a long time, and now it's sliding to someone else. The pizza still.
See, the power is changing hands, which it's going from Edom to the Israelites.
Still very stable, but what's the platform? What's the foundation? I am always optimistic that the United States will recover. It will change its ways, will find a way to reunify the incredible polarity that we're in right now and get focused on the one true goal, American primacy.
Do you think that's possible in a world where just saying American primacy, it like puts you at risk of being canceled? Like people just, there is a contingent. I won't even say how big it.
Meaning cancel, meaning put to death. Watch, because the same guy that said that says they're too rich to be canceled. They're in control. So they're not talking about canceling the show. They're talking about being put to death.
It is, but they're fucking loud. There is a contingent of people, and it could be large, that's offensive.
I understand it. I do. I understand it, and that's okay. I hope that doesn't happen on your show. Right?
You'll get some of it, to be sure.
No, I'm not worried about it happening to me. I just hope nobody cancels your show.
But too rich for that.
See, I'm too rich for that. But he was the one that brought it up because they're in control. But what they don't control is their life, their health, right? So that's what they're talking about. Them talking about this could actually endanger them. All right?
But the truth is, American survival is not being threatened. We don't have an existential threat to the United States. Existential threats are the threats that make people move. We talk about existential threats. More likely, other countries talk about existential threats. And what is an existential threat? A true existential threat is a threat that challenges your very existence.
Which is the truth. This truth coming out is challenging their very existence. All right. And this is why their kingdom is divided, because their existence is coming in question.
The existence of the United States is contingent upon the existence of the United States government, not Americans. Like we sometimes think that Americans make the United States. The United States is a representative republic government that has never
of the Edomites. See, like one of the lies they teach is that your tax dollars make America function, which is a goddamn lie. And you would be a fool to believe that when the government is the one giving you the money. It's a deception. He tells you in this video, and I hope to point it out to you, but the money is a deception to keep you occupied so that you don't realize what's happening.
Existed before that now exists. So if that government falls or if that government cracks or breaks, all the people will still be here, right? But America will be gone.
Which is a lie, because America is going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles, all right? Just like in the time of Egypt, in ancient Egypt, you had the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and his military. They were destroyed pursuing the Israelites. So that's what's going to happen to Babylon the Great, all right? They were raised up into power so that the Lord could bring them down and that the world fear his name at the return of his son, Yahushua.
So the existential threat to the United States is the one that would trigger Americans to react. Now, we've come close.
Which is this truth, all right? What happened? They're coming down with great wrath because they know that they have but a short time. How do they know that they have but a short time? Because of the prophets.
To those moments. 9/11 is one of those times. When all Americans...
It felt awesome for a hot minute. It felt so good. The unity, like, yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden, all of our differences melted away, right? The same thing happened at Pearl Harbor. All of our differences melted away because we had a common enemy. And we could individually see the existential threat posed to our country and our livelihood. Since 9/11, we have not had that kind of a threat. Countries around us have woken up to the fact, just like Emperor Hirohito in World War II said, "I fear we have woke a sleeping dragon." Our enemies have learned that Americans are slow to react. But when they react in full force. There's no way a savvy, intelligent, superpower competitor, GPC, global power competitor, is going to trigger an existential threat to the United States. Because they know that as long as they basically let us segment ourselves separately, as long as we insulate ourselves separately, we're going to eat ourselves to death with our own stupid little...
See? Because that's prophesied. But now, you know, that the truth is coming out, they can't go against it. It's all being fulfilled. I just read about the kingdom being divided.
Bitter squabbles about American primacy, right? Or about woke culture, or about representation, or about who knows what. We're gonna just waste our time bickering in our little room, and we're not going to wake up to what's happening in the entire building. That's the strategy of the future. Is to keep us divided. It's not to keep. An influence campaign is always cheap.
The influence campaign he's talking about is the truth. All right. What do they call you on YouTube? An influencer. We're telling the truth, and it's influencing the reality around us, and it's destroying the wicked kingdom of the Edomite, the so-called white race.
Easier and more success, and has a higher probability of success than a...
And the reason why is because their kingdom is built on lies, because they're murderers, they rape, they rob, and they lie.
Military campaign. So an influence campaign is basically like, hey, don't forget that you have race issues. Hey, don't forget that there's a socioeconomic divide. Hey, don't forget that the South tried to secede from the Union one. They're just picking, they're just poking and throwing salt on a wound. And then...
Now let me get that. That's in the Bible. That's in Obadiah, that the Israelites telling the truth would irritate this devil. Obadiah and verse 18, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them, come together in this truth, and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh has spoken it. Now, going into that word, a fire, right? Which you can see is Yahweh's anger, which we're poking at him by what? Telling the truth. The epiphany, which means what? The revealing of God, a visible manifestation to humankind of God, or of a God, right? Which the Almighty God is the one that gave us this prophecy, all right? Which is like a supernatural fire that's burning them up, all right? Joseph, a flame, and you got here, see the tip of a weapon. We're poking at them with the truth, all right? And they can't deal with it because all they know how to do is get the sword. And they can't, really come up against the elect with the sword, because once they do, the Lord's going to give us an increase of power. Oh, I got to get the other one I just thought of. Revelation 11. All right. Revelation 11 and verse 3. And I will give power unto my two witnesses And they shall prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth, which is the end of this devil's kingdom. All right. Now, it says in verse 11, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh through Yahweh Shai entered into them by the Holy Spirit, and they stood upon their feet starting in 1969, and great fear fell upon them which saw them, which he's telling you. They're afraid because it's unraveling all their lies. The truth is. All right. Hey, that's the spirit on fire. And look at that image. Did you see the image? Look.
Folks, we are lost in the sauce right now because Iran just recently published this entire 3D model of the country of Israel, telling them that they know the exact points of infrastructure that they are going to strike. They're going to hit the banks.
All right. But Iran is a byproduct of America. All right. So I asked Google about who funded the formation of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Right. This is the AI overview, which had over 9 sources. It says the Iranian regime, formerly known as the Islamic Republic of Iran, was not funded by any specific external entity during its creation. Instead, it emerged from a popular revulsion in 1979, 10 years after the truth hit the streets of Harlem, with Abba Bivens being given the Holy Spirit, that overthrew the Pahlavi dynasty led by Shah Muhammad Reza Pahlavi. While the revolution had broad support across various, I jumped to the point where it says the internal factors. The revolution was fueled by widespread discontent with Shah's autocratic rule. It says perceptions of corruption and social inequalities. Many Iranians felt that Shah's government was too closely aligned with Western interests, particularly the United States, and that it did not adequately represent Iranian sovereignty or cultural identity. All right, so here it is. It says, yes, Iran is a member of the United Nations. It joined the UN in 1945 as a founding member. The Islamic Republic of Iran is an active participant in the UN's various activities. So I asked, where is the UN headquarters? The United Nations headquarters is located in New York City. So why would they say that they're going to destroy New York, right? It's because they got to have some kind of enemy to try to heal America and bring them together, like he was talking about in the time with Pearl Harbor or 9/11. They were able to deceive the people and bring them together in their support for war, all right? Because the world is controlled by the wicked, and they feed off the dust of the earth, all right? But it's being revealed that they're the devil, so shame is falling on them, all right? Their shame is being revealed as the devil, all right? So now, let's go back to that video where that self-proclaimed CIA agent is telling you about the collapse of America.
Joining me now is a young man who dropped out of Harvard and developed the DUB app, that is, DUB, D-U-B app.
South tried to secede from the Union they're just picking, they're just poking and throwing salt on a wound, and then we are fighting over it, right? And we fill our days worrying about this garbage, blind to what's happening on the larger scale, blind to the fact that...
See, they're being troubled. Also, like I said, through the prophecies, it says that they're being troubled with visions, night terrors, nightmares.
The fantastic example is the global war on.
In fact, I'll get you a video I just saw of an elder sharing a woman nightmare. Here's a woman that had a nightmare.
Fair use. Fair use. Educational purposes. Fair use.
Started seeing visions and videos of other people having the same exact dream and vision as me, and the predictions that are coming out even now are so similar to what I experienced. So I was here at work. It was a normal dream. It was a normal day. I was going home. We get there and my building is completely on fire. We go inside to try to get important things out, but by that time, everyone was in chaos. Everyone was outside, just like in the movie trailers that people are coming out with right now. Everyone was outside. Everyone was aggressive, really mean, really rude, just desperate for answers. And another common theme was that there was no power anywhere. There was no power. Buildings were on fire. Everyone's house was on fire. There was nowhere to hide. And I quote me thinking that in my dream. There was nowhere to hide. Down the street of where I live in real life, there's a 7-Eleven. So my sister and I go to 7-Eleven to check it out. No one is buying anything. A bag of chips is like $80 and nobody has $80. So also police brutality. Like the cops were being so mean to everyone. So if you stole food, like even like a little seed, you're done. Like we even have no idea where they sent you. Probably to like some crazy concentration camp jail, I don't know. But, so no power, no gasoline, no money, no homes, no buildings to hide in, complete chaos, fire, everyone was cold, inhumane, angry, not nice, famine. Forgot to explicitly say it, but there was a huge famine. There was nowhere to hide. It was really scary, guys. It was chaotic, violent, and people were traveling by feet. People were hitchhiking. I mean, my sister and I hitchhiked. We separated from our family at one point. It was really scary, and I was at the end of my dream wishing that I had repented sooner.
Terrorism. The United States led the global war on terrorism following 9/11, right? And it felt good for a hot minute, like you said. We were all on the same page and we were all in this fight. Then that fight lasted 10 years, and then that fight lasted 20 years.
Also, it became so dodgy. Like if we had just been relentless about Osama bin Laden,
that's
like when I heard how we caught him in like the size of a shadow, I don't know if that's true, but like it sounded dope. And I was just like, dude, we're ninjas. This is amazing.
Yeah.
But that was after like a lot of, and look, I'm not super engaged in this stuff, so I'm definitely popping off ignorantly, but where we ended up going and how we ended up fighting and all that, and it just seemed like, wait, what are we?
Which the truth came out that Osama bin Laden was a CIA agent. See right here, it says Osama bin Laden, allegations of CIA assistance to Osama. See, so that's why it didn't feel good. It felt good at first, but the truth came out about your lies, and that's what hurt.
What are we doing?
Right.
So that felt like a squandered opportunity.
Well, during those 20 years, while we were mastering the art of hunting terrorists in mountains in Pakistan and Afghanistan, what were our global power competitors doing? Was Russia engaged in the global war on terror? Was China involved in the global war on terror? So all the hundreds of billions of dollars that we spent in that war, we spent in a war that was a giant distraction for us, that gave our closest near-peer competitors 20 years to invest their money and grow to become a larger threat than we were even aware they were becoming, right?
See? So their own trap, they fell into it.
And China, all of a sudden, China has multiple aircraft carriers, and they're launching aircraft from aircraft carriers, and they can project power into the South Asian seas. That's insane, right?
Just like it is insane for them to hear that the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. They're like, what? These were slaves? Now they're the Israelites? The tables are turning.
All of a sudden, like the Russian Federation is in close relationships with the Chinese and the Syrians and the North Koreans and the Iranians. How do we just wake up to this? Right? And that's what happens. It happens because we are still an adolescent country. So we get very myopic and we become very focused on the thing that we're playing with right now. And we lose the larger sight, the larger vision.
Which they're being deceived, right? He just said they're running deception programs through their war games.
The world has watched us do this for too long, and they don't make the same mistake twice, especially not authoritarian countries, because authoritarian countries have the benefit of authoritarian rulers that sit in an office or sit in a place, in a chair, for 15, 20, 30 years, right? They don't deal with the kind of tumult and transition that we have in the United States. I believe our constant change of leadership is part of what makes us strong. But we haven't yet learned how to have a change in leadership without a change in focus.
Which this system that is set up is in the image of ancient pagan Rome.
It's what we haven't quite learned to do yet. So we're giving our authoritarian enemies an opportunity to have focus for a long period of time against us, while we don't have that against them.
Okay, so
the system that we have, where you have a president, a senate, and a Congress, is a newly developed system, which you had in Rome, pagan Rome Empire. And what happened to the Roman Empire? It fell. What's going to happen to America? It's going to fall. All right, but when it falls, it's going to fall like lightning, and it's going to have help through nuclear destruction.
Why were we able to be so strong, and now we're not? Before you even answer that question,
which it says that in Isaiah 14, these other nations are looking at America, this whore, and saying, "Are you weak like we?"
Let me frame it for people, and if I go wrong on any of this, let me know. But this to me goes back to what I did not expect to be the theme of this conversation, but how hilariously predictable humans are. So Ray Dalio takes a very economic view of the world, and he's like, oh, hey, by the way, what he calls the big cycle is so predictable that he broke it down into 6 phases.
Which their economic cycle goes back to the Bible. See, it says... I put economic cycle goes back to biblical foundations. Yes, there are arguments that the concept of economic cycles finds foundations in the Bible, particularly in the Old Testament laws and narratives. And it talks about the Jubilee year. All right. So this is what they're talking about. There's laws that take place in these economic systems, and they really, the Lord controlling everything. All right, this shows you that the Lord is in control, not these men that think they are God.
He broke it down into 6 phases, and every empire has gone through these 6 phases. They last for roughly
and all these empires had their part having the Israelite in slavery. All right. And that's why they fell. And that's why America is going to fall, is because they have the Israelites in slavery.
100 to 150 years. America's basically at the end of the 100-year cycle. And phase 6 is total collapse, war, basically. And the old world order falls apart. There's usually a violent war, and then a new world order is established.
Which will be the Israelites ruling, and the heathen as our slaves. That's Revelation 21. as we prophesied. Verse 1, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. There will be no more melting pot like America. All right, every nation is going to be separated, all right, into its own land that was given to them in the original time. All right, biblical lands, you're going to go back to them, and it's only going to be a few saved. Most people are going to die. So it's only going to be a few on the earth when it starts over again. And the Lord's going to set up the Israelite, give us new bodies that don't die, that don't sin. And we're going to rule the earth, and we're going to be over the heathen.
And we're like clockwork on the cycle from a money perspective, from a division perspective, like everything just lines up. So you have to have an internal populace that is divided. You need to get yourself over your skis from a debt perspective, which we've done. You have to start printing money.
Which America is in debt, thick clay.
Like crazy. And there has to be a new superpower on the rise. Like
which is the Israelites.
The stage is set. And the stage was set in World War II, which is how we became the dominant power. To your point about waking a sleeping dragon. Sleeping dragon woke up, but now we're in trouble. So that's my overly simplistic view.
And they're not in trouble with these other nations. They're in trouble with the nation of Israel because they have to pay what money cannot buy. All right, they got to go into slavery. Their lives have to pay for the lives that they destroyed.
Of why this worked, it was sort of a fluke, not a fluke, but it was we hit the cycle at just the right moment when the British Empire collapsed at the end of World War II. Because of our geography, we weren't destroyed by bombs, so we come out of the war pretty much unscathed. So we ramp up all of our production capabilities. We absolutely crush it. We help win. We create the nuclear bomb. Like, just a lot of things come together, and so then we're established.
And what it is the Lord made you great so that he could destroy a great nation. Romans 9 and verse, verse 17, for the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, made you a great nation, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. When he destroys you. All right.
As the world reserve currency. Because it's not like we weren't divided before then, but we got to really enjoy a hot minute of prosperity. Does that seem like...
Which it tells you in Revelation 17, all right, about the short-lived prosperity of these fools. Revelation 17 and verse 10. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come, America. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, America, which it came out of the 7, and is of the 7 of the European Union, Greece, Rome, Britain, or I should say Spain, France, Britain, Germania Minor, Germania Major, and goeth into perdition, all right, and it's going to be destroyed by these 10 horns, which hate the whore, and they're going to shoot nuclear missiles with its teeth, which is NATO. The 10 horns are the kings of the European Union, and they're going to destroy America with nuclear missiles as allies to the BRIC nations and enemies to the American nation.
The right breakdown of why we could overcome our differences previously and now we can't? Like, how do you...
Yeah, I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's wrong at all. I think that it's interesting to me because it sounds like Ray Dalio... one of the reasons you respect him so much is because his analysis is based in economics.
And he's put his money where his mouth is.
economics and economists have long been viewed as the true predictors of future prosperity. At CIA, we lean heavily into economic studies.
Which shows you a lot of these Bitcoin and cryptocurrency so-called experts are actually CIA agents like Christopher Green, are like redacted, all right? Because CIA, like he said, leans heavily in economic predictions. And also, this is why you know they're watching us, because they search it out. It says in Obadiah how Esau searches things out. It says in verse 6, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? The same way that he searches things out is the same way that his things are being sought up, his hidden secrets. His internet, it was used to collect information, and it's actually being used to reveal their shame.
Like experts, economic analysis, the law of economics, because the law of economics is that of the law of scarcity.
Which is what? The Bible. Which he said the law of scarcity, which that's the deception of the wicked.
One of the first and most underrated economists out there.
And that's why it says in Proverbs 29 that when the wicked rule, the people mourn, because he operates off of wicked, foul, unjust abominations, right? Which the Lord says unjust weights are an abomination. And his law of scarcity is an abomination.
There was actually a Soviet economist, a guy named Kondratiev. Kondratiev created what's known as the Kondratiev wave, the Kondratiev cycle. That cycle essentially puts us, it explains the pattern of interstate conflict or intrastate conflict, where countries compete, actually go to war with each other. And it puts it on about a 25-year cycle. 25 years to a peak in conflict, 25 years to a drop in conflict. And then as the wave continues, like most waves, the actual peak of the waves expands. So it goes from being 25 years to then 32 years to 32 years, and you start to see this longer, slower wave, right? But it's still a wave form. The next peak of conflict, according to Kondratiev's wave, against the United States' point of view, happens in about 2024, 2025.
Oh, great.
So we now have multiple economists basically saying that there's a peak coming, a peak of conflict coming. And that conflict for the Kondratiev wave is a peak of popular conflict and unpopular conflict. So we're coming off of an unpopular conflict, right? Afghanistan and Iraq largely turned into an unpopular conflict at the end, right? And the wave between when that started and when the next wave is coming is right in that 25-year mark, right? So according to Kondratiev, we are not only coming up on a period of conflict, but it will be popular inside the United States. So people will rally behind that conflict.
Which is the truth. All right? Have we become your enemy because we tell you the truth?
That doesn't mean we're going to win. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be in our best interest, but it does mean, to your point earlier, that we might see that moment where everybody kind of comes together again.
But this is against their government, because it says in sedition, because he just made the point that they can't deceive them no more. So they're coming together against their own government because of the lies that they've been told. It says in verse 16 of 2 Ezra 15, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Which is pretty much a civil class war. All right?
I think part of the reason that we were able to be successful was because of the same rules of economics that you laid out from World War II. Our country, hugely unpopular, Western expansion was hugely unpopular at the time. The Civil War, nobody wants to see the Civil War again. Most people would say the Civil War was a traumatic and horrible, loss of life. At the time, there was no other option. Abraham Lincoln had no option except to pursue civil war because he knew that the presidents before him had been working to create a single solitary nation that had national security from coast to coast. We can say it was a fight for state.
Which America is called a great experiment, where they have enslaved the Israelite, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian, which been scattered throughout the world in slavery. See, I put in, is America an experiment? Yes, many of the United States founders, including Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, and Abraham Lincoln, considered the American Democratic Republic to be an experiment. You understand? And it was for the slavery of the Israelite.
We can say it was a fight for states' rights. We can say it was a fight for slavery. We can say it was a fight for lots of things. And those are also true, but they may not be the number one reason why the Civil War was so important. The Civil War was...
See, so they're covering their actions with lies. And it tells you in Jeremiah 16 and 19, it says, O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth and shall surely say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Which these, let me see, Jeremiah 16 and 19 is, let's see, 16 and verse 19, Gentiles, let's see. See, people, descendants of Israel. So these could be Israelites, all right, that are actually waking up to the truth, but also even the other nations are waking up saying, hey, but these ones are coming up and saying, hey, we have inherited lies and vanity and things whereunto there is no profit, like Jesus Christ. There's no profit in Jesus Christ because it's a goddamn lie. All right?
Were so important because we needed to remain one unified country from coast to coast to have American primacy in the long run. American primacy is a concept that was created by Alexander Hamilton.
Really?
American primacy is not new. There's an entire society out there called the Alexander Hamilton Society.
What do the scriptures say? There's nothing new under the sun?
That's focused on preserving the ideals of Alexander Hamilton and the founding fathers, who all believed that a strong United States meant a strong world, because
they're the wicked,
saw and lived through the oppression of living under a monarchy, right?
Under the kings of the Dark Ages, which you had kings like King James, all right, which were dark-skinned people that ruled the world during the Dark Ages. And that's why you had these Edomites coming on ships to America, being that they were trying to flee so-called persecution. It was because they were the Edomites and they were under the dark-skinned people. That's why it's called the Dark Ages. And once they got here, they did what? They created a Declaration of Independence, a constitution, like it is prophesied in Wisdom of Solomon too, right? So they make the law to protect them because they are feeble and weak.
If you look at the top 5 wealthiest countries in the world right now, the top 5 wealthiest countries in the world, 2 of them are democracies. The other 3 are monarchies, right? So the idea that democracy is the solution to all wealth and success hasn't really been proven yet. We're still outnumbered.
And it's going to be destroyed when Yahushua returns.
By monarchies, right? So what does the future hold? The future will be conflict is coming. Multiple economists have pointed to it. You can see the writing on the wall, what my wife and I call the writing on the wall.
But he could be a Jake. You got Jake in these ABC groups of Esau. But the prophecy is sure. All right. The writing is on the wall. Isaiah 19 and 3. It says in this, I'll start at 1. It says, the burden of Egypt, which is talking about America, which is in the spirit of Egypt. It has the Israelites in slavery. Behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it, which it's going to suffer nuclear destruction, unlike the ancient Egypt. All right, but this modern Egypt is going to be destroyed with nuclear fire. And if you Google the most, I'll just do it for you. I Googled where are the most sightings of so-called UFOs, and AI pulled up, it says, AI overview, California is the U.S. state with the most reported UFO sightings, with over 36,000 sightings since 1974. While New Mexico and Nevada are also known for UFO activity, which really all the states are, even New York, they have hotspots where they have major sightings, all right? Because this is where the Israelites are enslaved in America, which is spiritual Egypt, okay? And it's going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles. It says, and I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptians. And that's what he said, that they know that it's going to go into chaos. And that's why they have the military in the streets, because they're going to use the chaos to try to bring forth a new world order, which is the implantable microchip, the mark of the beast, which they're going to lose, and the Israelite is going to win. It says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom, which is happening. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail. In the midst thereof I will destroy the counsel thereof. You saw that soldier, the JAG officer, right? They're losing that spirit. Egypt, the businesses are shutting down, right? There's no more jobs. You just heard the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, say that their jobs are at capacity. There is no more so-called unemployed positions in America, because the ones that were hiring are now no longer. All right. It says, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, which you heard him talking about, the ones that were giving them their prediction, their economic predictions, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, which is Trump, the king of Babylon. And a fierce king shall rule over them, saith Yahweh of hosts. And the waters shall fail from the sea, and the rivers shall be wasted and dried up. It will suffer nuclear destruction at the end of the day. Not literally today, but when everything is done and set, after everything is said and done, America will be no more. It will be a desert, because it will suffer a judgment like no other place on earth. It's going to eat millions of nuclear missiles in judgment of its wickedness in this earth and how it corrupted the earth. With that, I give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Ha Rakah Quadash, double honors to our apostle elders, which ruled great millstone well, and which taught us the truth, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure unto the end. Shalom wa abba.